after losing continued with a 3-2 home victory over Macclesfield. Peter Gain got the Imps first. There was hardly a defender in sight as Richard Butcher remained composed to crack in their second. And Lincoln's unbeaten run was stretched to 12 games in the last minute. Butcher's shot deflected off the shin of Francis Green.
Setback at Hull. Lincoln are back on track after inflicting a 14th defeat of the season in just 17 games on Carlisle. Lincoln's cause helped by the dismissal of former Grimsby player Steve Livingston for the so-called professional foul. The Imps conceded on the stroke of half-time a week ago. This time they struck in the 45th minute with Simon Yeo's deft flick. 5 minutes the other side of the interval, Lincoln were home and dry. Richard Lybird's cross and a simple tap-in goal for Gary Fletcher, claiming his third in 6 games. Football fans everywhere will join those at Lincoln in wishing their manager Keith Alexander a speedy recovery after neurosurgery at the Royal Hallamshire Hospital. There were plenty of messages of support at Sincil Bank from fans and players alike. Even Bristol Rovers seemed to catch the mood. Some shoddy defending, and ultimately they presented Simon Yeo with the day's first goal after just 11 minutes. Rovers have slumped badly after a decent start to the season, winning only one of their last 11. But when Imps keeper Alan Marriott found himself totally exposed when Carlisle took advantage. The whole of Lincoln demanded a victory for Alexander and assistant Gary Simpson, though, and they got it thanks to 2 strikes in the second half. Ben Futcher forcing the ball in after 56 minutes. And although Niall McNamara was to fritter the opportunity of a first league goal when it seemed almost harder to miss, victory was assured close to full time. Paul Mayo swung over a cross from the left, and Gary Fletcher was stationed to complete the victory.
Part of the season at Field Mill had barely taken their seats when they were witness to one of the goals of the season so far. Nothing pretty about the build-up as Lincoln's Richard Butcher scrapped for possession with Lee Williamson. But how about the finish? Well, just after the half-hour, Mansfield were level. What Big Ron calls a rick of massive proportions, involving defenders Ben Futcher and Paul Morgan, ended with the former bringing Isidon Christie crashing to ground. Liam Lawrence slotted the penalty with ease. But 5 minutes after the break, the Imps were back in front. Mark Bailey was involved in the build-up, and it was another fine strike from outside the box, this time from Peter Gain. Another tonic for their recovering boss, Keith Alexander. Well, Mansfield threw everything at the visitors to protect their 7-match unbeaten run. Futcher redeemed himself by blocking Christie's goal-bound effort, and Marriott saved Dave Artell's goal-bound header on the line. But only just.
Good to see that Lincoln manager Keith Alexander was well enough to watch the Cambridge game from one of the Sincil Bank executive boxes. His side took the lead through Gary Fletcher's improvised back heel, which caught the Cambridge keeper Sean Marshall out completely. Imps standing boss Gary Simpson says he wasn't surprised to see Fletcher try such an audacious flick. Apparently Fletcher does them regularly in training. They play Bury next in the league, when no doubt Fletcher will be trying to prove to us all it wasn't a fluke. There was a hint of luck about Cambridge's equaliser though. Luke Guttridge's 35-yard drive left Alan Marriott looking rather embarrassed. 4 points from 6 over Christmas leaves Lincoln handily placed for a serious assault on the playoff places. Gary Simpson is looking for another 38 points from the rest of the season to ensure they are there or thereabouts in May. If Fletcher's first was all about improvisation, his second was about anticipation. He put Lincoln back in front 2-1. But with only 2 minutes to go, Cambridge again equalised. Highly rated youngster John Turner found the on-loan Daniel Webb. He made it 2-2 to leave boss John Taylor pleased with a good afternoon's work, but slightly disappointed they didn't take all 3 points.
They say about non-league players not having too much class, but this boy was an ex-non-league player and was at, Dagenham and Redbridge. That's a lovely flip. And was also at Northwich Victoria. He looks pleased with it, mind.
That by a Premiership play, Zola, when he used to be playing for Chelsea, that would have been, Zola, wouldn't it?
Would have been on the tennis.